The tag team unification match was just confirmed, so we'll take a look at some possible outcomes there. We'll also see what's going on with Roman Reigns, reports of why superstars are getting their names changed, and much more. Starting things off with the report of the name changes. So, what's one of the biggest debates and biggest pet peeves for WWE fans at the moment? Well, lately when NXT superstars make their main roster debuts, they get a complete random name change, despite them already spending a lot of time in NXT and building a fan base with their old names. Some fans are okay with the constant name changes, while some fans feel like the name change insults the audience's intelligence just a bit. How does it insult the audience's intelligence? Well, take a look at the most recent name change example, Pete Dunne. Pete went by that name in NXT UK and regular NXT for many years, and had a lot of high-profile matches. But he comes to the main roster, and now he's Butch, and they sort of erase his WWE history as Pete Dunne. And we're continuing to see these name changes happen more and more. It's to the point where fans are now expecting anyone that gets called up from NXT to get a name change on the main roster right away. But there's actually a new reported reason and backstory for these name changes. According to Wrestling Observer, Vince McMahon and WWE do not want any new superstars using their real names or names that they've used on the indie scene before in WWE. Again, this only applies to new WWE superstars. There's a lot of older superstars that are using their real names and indie names in WWE right now, but this rule doesn't apply to them. They're grandfathered in. Only the newer WWE superstars will be forced to go through name changes if they're using their real name or names that they've used before in the indies. Another reason that's sort of connected to all of this is rights. It's obviously going to be difficult for WWE to get the name rights to your real name or prior stage name. So in order to lock down all the rights to the names, that's also why they're giving these superstars the custom WWE names. A lot of these wrestlers are smart. They're trademarking their names. They're getting all the rights. So if the individual that owns their name appears in WWE using that name, then of course WWE won't be able to fully own the rights to that superstar. So the new way to bypass this issue is to give these individuals a new custom name that WWE will apply to trademark and get all the rights for. So for everyone that is wondering about what's going on with every new NXT superstar losing their names, this appears to be the reasons why. No more real names, no more old indie names, just new original WWE names that they can lock down all the rights for. Now, let's get into everything with the Usos and RK Bro. This whole story started a few weeks ago when Roman Reigns set the Usos to Raw in order to unify the WWE Tag Team titles. A lot of fans were asking about what gives the Usos any right to appear on Raw. Roman obviously has a pass because he's a double champion, but why do the Usos get to visit Raw when they're only the SmackDown Tag Team champions? The answer to that is because WWE said so. The brand split rules seem to be enforced much lighter these days. So that's why superstars are jumping back and forth again. A couple of years ago, superstars going to another show was treated like a big deal, and how they only had 2 wildcard appearances every year. Well now, wildcard no longer exists, and everyone appears to have unlimited appearances on opposite brands. So the Usos came to Raw and laid down the foundation for that storyline feud with Randy Orton and Riddle, which led to Randy Orton and Riddle returning the favor by appearing on SmackDown and calling out the Usos. They challenged each other to a tag team unification match, which was later made official for WrestleMania Backlash. RK Bro also stood tall over the Usos during the main event segment of SmackDown. So what happens now? Well, the big match is set. It will be RK Bro versus the Usos in a winner-takes-all team unification match. It's still unknown if Roman Reigns will be competing or not at Backlash, but if he doesn't, this match should definitely be the main event because a lot is on the line. Usually the tag team division isn't the hottest match and attraction on the card, but in this specific case, it's a massive match with a lot on the line and very high stakes. The losing team of this match will be losing it all, while the winning team will be on top of the world and making history as they unify the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. If the Usos lose this match, it's hard to picture Roman Reigns being perfectly okay with that outcome. He wanted the Usos to go up to 2 titles, not drop to 0 titles. So he'll most definitely be enraged. But if the Usos win and unify the tag team titles, it won't only be a good look for them, it'll be a good look for Roman Reigns and the entire bloodline as well. So that's why the Usos would appear to be the favorite to win this match. If they pull it off and bring back the unified tag team titles, just like Roman Reigns said, now you definitely need to have some conversation about the bloodline being one of the most successful and dominant factions of all time in WWE. Fans also noticed that Roman Reigns was absent from Raw and SmackDown this week. He did compete in a 6-man dark match after Raw, but was nowhere to be seen on SmackDown. Fans figure that maybe it was just a nice week off for Roman, following the hectic and busy WrestleMania schedule that he was dealing with. So we'll likely get that explanation for where he was at next week. But what also should be in the back of the Usos' head is how Roman will react to their SmackDown performances. RK Bro stood tall in the closing moments of SmackDown, and you just know that that's something that Roman will not enjoy at all. He always views the Usos losing like that's an embarrassment to himself and the family. So Roman's reaction to the Usos coming up short in the closing moments of SmackDown will also be interesting to see. Maybe Roman's furious reaction is what gives the Usos that extra motivation to get the job done at WrestleMania Backlash. Another thing fans are discussing is the possibility of a unified women's champion. After Backlash, there'll be one world champion and one set of tag team champions. It sort of feels like the roster is going back to how it was before the 2016 Grand Split. And if that's the case, you have to start asking yourself if the women's titles are the next titles to be unified. Will the next winner takes all match be the SmackDown Women's Champion versus the Raw Women's Champion? It's definitely an interesting question to ask, considering all these title unification matches that we've been seeing so far. And there's a lot of good choices out there for a unified women's champion. You have Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey. Any of those 3 definitely seem like they would be great choices to be the unified women's champion. There hasn't been any rumors or reports about a title unification for the women's title, but it's just something really interesting to wonder about with all these other unification matches taking place in WWE right now. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.